Well, welcome for Veterans for Cannabis. Again, this is me, Carlos Munoz, and I got Jared Campbell right next to us. Not next to me, but next to me. Right. Um, and today, today we're going to take it a little more casual, and talk about how cannabis has affect, us as veterans, how we use it, but also, some other evidence-based cases that has um, good outcome, throughout the years, throughout the last 20 years that we can look back. Well, what are your thoughts, Jared?
Oh, well, I kind of put together a little bit of some research here um, over this past week. And I was reading an interesting case where it was talking about 194 systematic reviews
Hmm.
going back from 2001 to 2023. And it talked about cannabis, how it was really good helping with pain, sleep, seizures, or even anxiety. But most of the reviews rated a lot of the evidence as low or even critically low quality due to small sample sizes. But a lot of the studies were kind of inconsistent. A lot of the designs and then a lot of the biases depending on you looking at it. And you know, I think when we look overall, cannabis versus opioids, right?
Hmm.
And in one of the studies I was reading, it talked about how both cannabis and opioids have minor improvements in pain relief, function, and also sleep. According to the one study I read, it talked about cannabis had fewer dropouts due to side effects compared to people using the opioids. They also said that opioids carried overdose and dependence risks, where cannabis had lower dependency. Okay? So I thought that was kind of another interesting study. Um, what say you? You want me to keep going, or you want
No,
to add anything?
that is very interesting that you mentioned the dependency on, you know, because it actually shows, that alcohol is not only more lethal. It's not on, Alcohol does not only have more recording death, alcohol related death, in comparison to cannabis, and that would be interesting. I don't know if the study could be biased, but it also could be the fact that they're not the studies. Maybe it's ignorance, but right now that's what it shows, right? Um, but like I explained to you earlier, man, when it comes to dependency, right? You got, like I was saying, when your body get used to a chemical, and then it craves it, right? And that could be also brain related, right? Because yeah, heroin, for example, right? The dependency of heroin can affect you both physically and mentally, right? But in my experience, I have not seen something like this on cannabis. Right? And as for me, man, so for somebody who got hooked on painkillers, right, that was prescribed to me, and I was taking it as prescribed, by a medical doctor, and I got hooked on that. You know, I can tell you that cannabis has been, one of the better choices for me and many other veterans that I, work with and have talked to, which I find interesting, right? Pain relief. Cannabis is a natural inflammatory, anti-inflammatory, right? And there's so many other, studies that shows, PTSD and anxiety disorder. And again, I'm not saying the one, cure fix everybody, right? I think everybody gonna have different reactions to that. But and like I keep repeating to myself, is it should be an option. Okay. should be an option. It should be a legal option for veterans. It has a lot of benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at a 2014 study right now. It was done 11 years ago, and next time I'll try to see if I can find one a little that's
Mhm.
a little more date. But this one was done 11 years ago, and it talked about overall dependency, and it um all the people that were done in this study, 9% had there was like it was a overall 9% dependency for cannabis versus they said 23% for heroin, 17% for cocaine, and 15% for alcohol. And so what you were saying, like that's I think when we talk about dependency, it's different for all of us because
Mhm.
we use cannabis, and
Right.
I know that you and I have conversations where you said that a person can get used to how the feel is when they smoke cannabis, and they can
Mhm.
be dependent on that feel, and so that's how dependency can start. So just like alcohol, you were how you were explaining it before we got in here, it's you
Yeah.
drink enough alcohol, your body gets used to it, and then it starts depending on it. And so to me, it's how does something
Yeah.
affect the brain? That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can say, I used to call myself a part-time alcoholic, because I was very functional. I used to drink like ridiculous amount, right? Uh, I came back from deployment one time and I had shakes because I was drinking so much. I came home and typically, I don't drink, but I had the shakes and I couldn't stop shaking. So I had to get a beer or two or three, you know. And this is coming back from deployment, where in theory it should be I'm dry, right? But when you are with different people, there's different rules, you know. So that was my point is, you know, we can safely say that I'm right, or I'm disposed to addiction, right? But I really believe, and I can honestly say that I can go days without smoking cannabis. And as long as I'm taking my anxiety medication, I'm good, you know. But I don't know. I can say the same for when I was taking pills or drink on the juice, on the wagon. I needed to drink, and I knew that. And that's the bad part. I knew that. You know. Also didn't help that I enjoyed it too. But it got to the point where it was affecting my wallet, and it was affecting. I got fat. I got heavy. So I mean that's my experience, man. I think with cannabis, it's been so much cleaner of a lifestyle. I feel better. My pain is. I'm not gonna say non-existent, but I can say it's not what it was. Feel me?
Yep. Absolutely.
So I mean, I wish I can tell, you know, this current administration, dude, like, let's do this. If you want to start with, man, just do medical. Just do medical, right? And I think, that would be a great move, because uh, it's cheaper. I think that's one of the big issues in the Senate and the House. Cannabis is cheaper and it's hard to control, right? So what's going to happen to all these crazy pharmaceuticals, right? And and I'm sure that every politician there is, they got pharmaceutical, uh, um, what am I trying to say? That they got money, they get donations. And I'm not trying to get political, right? But Bernie Sanders, in the 2020 election was the biggest pharmaceutical, what you call it, the person they get the donation, right? And to me, it's like Bernie Sanders. I mean, this dude is a stoner. What is he doing? Uh, I was feeling shocked. I was feeling shocked. I don't know how you feel about that, but at one point, I was like a Bernie Sanders kind of guy. You
Yeah.
know, but what bothers me is that he denies it, but it is public record. And then, when he was confronted with first he denied it, then he goes, like, well, I'm not the only one doing it, but that's not the point. It's not about you being the only one doing it. It's about you saying that you're not doing it, and you are not for the big pharma, but here you are being the number one beneficiary of the pharma. I'm not trying to get political, but that irked me a little, you know.
Yeah, I see your point, and to kind of add to it, because I, you're, I kind of see where this is going a little bit. Um, back to experience. You
Hey,
know,
Jared, you're cutting
I
off again, bro.
oh, am I cutting? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. And going back to experience real quick, for me, um, I had an addiction that you don't really hear talked about a lot. One of the addictions I struggled with was nicotine, and I
Hmm.
had a hard time quitting smokeless tobacco, and I end up almost getting mouth cancer because I just couldn't stop with smokeless tobacco. And when I started using cannabis, cannabis took that urge away, and so by taking that urge away and
Hey,
getting me out.
yeah. Hey, Jared, your internet is acting up a little funny.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, but your video is kind of frozen.
Is it frozen? Hello,
Yeah.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, still a little funny.
Uh,
Ladies and gents, my apologies for this. And I'm gonna continue talking while we get Jared back in here. Um, and again, that's my experience. I'm not gonna. I had a job, had federal employment, and I couldn't smoke cannabis, for nearly 20 some years. But thankfully, I retired and I found something that was working for me. Right? So again, during my military service, pills and alcohol was the thing. You know. How you doing, Jared?
can you hear me?
Yeah,
As long as you can hear me. I
yeah, I
don't know if
can
I'm
hear you.
cutting it. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. I should be back. I think I'm back. I
Yeah,
can't tell if I
I
am or not.
think you.
All right. All right. And so I was talking about my addiction to nicotine and how cannabis took away that urge, um, that addiction I had to nicotine, and I was able to stop smokeless tobacco back in 2019, and I give a lot of credit to cannabis. But when you were talking, and I think where honestly where some of this may come in is that when I was reading I was reading about a success story from the UK, and it doesn't mention the woman's name, but she was a patient, and she was 61. Yes.
Jared, you're being choppy again. try to take up my camera to see if it helps. But
Oh, I don't.
again, ladies and gents, my apologies. Sometimes things happen. It is what it is. So, I like a Jerry. I know Jerry for a while, and I know that he's talking about nicotine addiction. And he used to dip a lot back in the day. How we doing, Jerry?
Can you hear me now? Yeah, I think it's my signal. It's just not strong enough right now.
Hello?
Yeah, I said I don't think my signal's strong enough right now.
Are you there? All right. Not sure what happened. Um, so let's do this, okay? It's been 16 minutes, 37 seconds, okay? And let's make this part one. Yeah?
Can you
Hold
hear
up.
me now?
Maybe Jerry's here. Let's see.
Can you hear me now?
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
You there, bro?
You can hear me? Hear me?
No, bro. No good. I think that's what we're gonna do. Let's do part one, and then we'll do part two. And we'll put them together. Join them. It's wonderful.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
There,